All right, super excited to be here. I'm at Mulberry Gap, and it is one of my favorite places to go and stay and ride. And what's pretty neat is it's been about 10 years since I've been here just to ride for fun. 9 years or 8 years ago, something like that, I started teaching here, and that's a different type of fun, but there's a lot of responsibility to it. So today, all I got to do is worry about myself. I got a great campsite here with a hookup, and I'll have great shower tonight, and it'll be nice and cool sleeping in these Georgia mountains. There are 3 things I'm going to do on the videos that follow. Number 1, I'm going to talk a little bit about Mulberry Gap. Number 2, I am going to get a review on this brand new Santa Cruz Bullit. This is literally my first ride on it. And number 3, I'm hoping to capture some really good scenery to put into that series of trail scenery across the United States and Whistler. So if you're interested in any of those things, follow along with me. Let's get it done. All right, I'm getting ready to drop in to the top of Pin Hody 3 in Georgia, North Georgia. I'm going to ride a little bit slower so I can talk a little bit. The Bullit. All right, I just climbed up Pin Hody 3, and now I've turned around and I'm going to descend it. So just a few observations off the top of my head with the climbing of the bike. You don't buy a bike with 170 travel in the front and the rear in order to have the best climbing bike possible. And that's okay with me, because to be honest with you, I used to really be into technical climbing like about 10 years ago. That was my thing. Almost trials like. I was never good enough to do the hopping like a really good trials rider would do. But in terms of just cranking up things and making adjustments, that was kind of my forte. So part of the deal is that's kind of out of my system, and I don't necessarily need to do that anymore. So this bike is fine for where I am now. I made just about every switchback on the way up this trail. Some of them are very tricky, and I think if I had some more time here and on the bike, I think I could probably make them all. So it does fine on the climbs. It's not the best climber in the world, but you know that if you're even considering a bike like this. Part of it too is I'm still recovering from back surgery, and one of the things that I'm most afraid of is not making up a climb and it's stalling out. All right, here's one of the switchbacks right here. You can see my tracks. So that's not an easy switchback to climb. I made that one. Some of them are a little bit harder, but that gives you an idea. Oh, hey, just a second. Check out the ferns here. This reminds me of North Carolina and actually parts of British Columbia. So we'll just put that underneath the heading for the trail scenery. So yeah, I am doing an out and back, as I mentioned, on Pin Hody 3, and there's no way I would be able to do this without a e-bike. It has 5 bars on it, and I used up 1.5. And I had it on not the strongest, most powerful boost mode, but I had it on the next to strongest. So the one that would use almost as much power as the one that uses the most power. And it was a lot of fun. I mean, I just cruised up here. I got my heart rate in probably zone 2, and it probably just stayed in zone 2 all the way up. On a regular bike, it would have been spiking really high, and I would probably not be able to make this in time for dinner tonight, because it's getting later in the evening or afternoon. And so that's one of the things that's nice about a full powered e-bike, is you have that luxury. And you know, I've been doing so many rides in that zone 2 where I'm not really spiking my heart rate, but I'm keeping it pretty consistent. So back to the Bullit. This is my first full power e-bike I've had in quite a while. I had the original repeater, which had the Shimano EP8, I believe, and this is the brand new Generation 5 Bosch. Oh, it's night and day difference between the Shimano EP8, and you would expect it to be, because I mean, that's probably 4 years ago or so. So just like cell phones, a lot have changed in 4 years. This thing's super refined. I had an earlier model of Bosch, and I had problems with it that couldn't get fixed, and I was really to the point to where I was never going to ride Bosch again. But I gave him the benefit of the doubt, thinking that maybe, you know, they've learned from their mistakes, and so far so good on this. Only time will tell. All right, let's go ahead and let it rip just a little bit. Oh, this switchback always sneaks up on me. I always blow that, and this time I said I wasn't gonna blow it. Whoa! Here's some really cool scenery. Check that out. See how that just going around a ravine here? This is some pretty cool trail building right here. Tuck that on away underneath the scenery. There's some more cool scenery. Check this out. You can see the trail down there. This is my favorite part of this trail. It's gonna wind back around. We're gonna be right down there. It's like 3 stories down. Pretty awesome. All right, let's talk about the differences between a full power e-bike and a lighter weight half power e-bike. Pros and cons of each. So I have had, majority of the e-bikes I've had have been the half powered one, and those are great when you just ride by yourself because they're so much lighter. This is a new version of, this is a new full power model, and Santa Cruz really worked to try to make it light for a full power e-bike, but putting it on the scales, it's still with the carbon rims, and it's got pedals on it, a titanium bottle cage, and tire inserts. It's right around 50 pounds. So by full powered e-bike standards, it's still light, but 50 pounds is a heavy bike, you know, no matter how you dice it or slice it. When the half powered e-bikes that I've been riding are closer to 42. So that's a huge difference in weight and playfulness on the trail. So the half powered e-bikes are great if you enjoy a lot of riding by yourself. But if you have friends with full powered e-bikes, you really can't ride with them unless they're gonna do charity and wait for you. Because even if they set it on their trail mode, they're still faster on their trail mode than you are on your boost mode for the super light e-bike, and your battery's going to run out faster than theirs will on trail mode. So I would say if your goal is to ride with friends, then definitely go with a full powered e-bike. Also, if your goal is to tow friends or tow family members, you definitely need the full powered e-bike, because the half powered will get too hot and they'll shut down, and then you'll have to let them cool down. Ask me how I know that. So yeah, pros and cons of both. Advantages and disadvantages depends on your goal. All right, back to the Bullit. So far so good. I'm still having to make some, I'm gonna get back to my van, and I'm going to make some adjustments that I make with every mountain bike. Right now my seat's not tilted in the correct way for my anatomy, so I'm gonna have to change that. Just things that you'd have to do on any e-bike. But all right, here we go, switch back. Let's see how we do on this. Yeah, so see, that's a pretty hard switchback. No problem on this. You have to lean forward a little bit, and like whether you're on a muscle bike or an e-bike, you really have to commit to it. But yeah, I have to make a few changes, you know, that you would on any mountain bike when you buy it. No big deal. There are some geometry adjustments on this, and one is your shock platform. I don't know a lot about that. I just listened to one review, and the guy seemed to really like it in the lower setting. Now that doesn't have anything to do with the bottom bracket height. That's another setting, and then I always put that in the high, and that's what I have done with this. The high makes it less chance of a pedal strike when you're descending and a crash, and it also makes it a little bit easier for these climbing switchbacks. And this bike is low and slack enough already that I wouldn't need it in the low. So I have the bottom bracket in the high setting and the shock platform in the low for now. And another thing I do on these Foxes is you're able to put an air shaft in them that allows for 10 millimeters more travel than where they come stock. My buddy Chuck at Bike Link turned me on to that years ago, and I've done that on most of my bikes. So this one has 170 in the front stock, and I'm going to go ahead and I want to go ahead and get a 180 installed in it. And what that does, I believe, is what it will do is raise that bottom bracket even a little bit more. And yes, it will rake out the front end a little bit more too and make the climbing a little bit more challenging, but I'm fine with that because I'd rather have a little bit higher bottom bracket, and I'd rather be able to let it rip on the downhills even more. I can tell you right now, I'm gonna really like the Bullit. I really am going to like it the more and more I spend time with it. If you want something a little bit more playful than the Bullit, although I think the Bullit is plenty playful, then you can get the Santa Cruz Vala, which my buddy Javier said in Spanish that word means bullet. Haha. Pretty slick, Santa Cruz. But yeah, I definitely highly recommend the Bullit so far. I'll get some more rides on it, but I can tell right now I'm really going to like it. It's really doing really well for my very first ride on it, and it's only going to get better. Definitely hit Cahaba Cycles up if you're looking for either the Vala or the Bullit, and or any other Santa Cruz bike. It's a really nice bike, and I highly recommend it. These brakes on this Bullit, the new SRAM Mavens, and I've heard so many good things about them, and so far everything that I've heard is true. They are awesome brakes, and I'm glad I have it. I used to, whenever I had a bike that came with SRAM brakes, that was the first thing I'd get rid of. I'd sell them as new takeoffs. I hated SRAM brakes, but these are bikes definitely quiet. It's probably quiet because it's new. You can probably let a little bit of air out of the fork anyway. Maybe a little bit stiff. Probably put some volume spacers in it. Does a nice job manualing. But anyway, I love the brakes. I'm going to keep them. I definitely like the Mavens on here. They've come a long ways. I think what I'm going to do also is, I've been super pleased with the AXS SRAM wireless dropper. They've been great. I've really had a lot of them, and I've loved them. They've been super dependable, whereas their cable activated droppers, the Reverb back in the day, those were horrible. Those are, again, I'd just sell those once I got them and get a Fox transfer. But I am going to probably get a Fox Transfer wireless one for this. And the reason for it is not because I'm not pleased with the SRAM AXS wireless system, but because Fox offers one with more drop. So I forget what the drop is on this, but SRAM's a little bit behind the curve now in terms of having enough drop for their wireless products. And with a bike like this, with so much travel, I want to get it lower in the seat tube and have more drop so I can lower my hips for the trails that'll be much more rowdy than these trails. I'm thinking like the steep trails at the top of Jared's place, or the steep chutes at Rydberg, where you really want to be able to get your hips low if you need to. And that Fox will allow that, I believe. So I need to do some research on that, but I believe they're making them with more travel. So it's time for me to make a change. And plus, I've ridden this one for a long time. What I do when I buy a bike is I take my favorite parts off the bike. So they're pretty used. Even though I have a new bike, most of the parts are pretty darn used. So the person who buys my old bike gets a lot of new parts, and I keep the nicer used parts. But what that means is a lot of times I have to replace them, even though it's a new bike, which is the case with this dropper. I noticed I've got a big old scratch on the back of the stanchion on it. So if I try to sell you this dropper, definitely look it over. You don't want me taking advantage of you. All right, we're almost at the end of P3, and as you can see, it's got a really neat flavor to it. Scenery is just awesome, typical southeast, feeling like you're in the dense woods, and feels like you're in the middle of nowhere, but you're actually pretty close to civilization if you have a bad crash or something, as long as you stay on the trail. And definitely check out this trail on Trail Forks and MTP Project. Give you an idea of how much elevation, how long it was, for the amount of battery that I burned. I'm still kind of overweight for my size, so that's part of this trip is what I call it is fat camp, where I'm riding every day trying to keep my heart rate in that fat burning zone. But just for your own calculations on battery use, I am 230 probably, plus gear. I don't have a lot of gear on, probably at least 3 or 4 pounds of gear. And as you can see, we have used 2 of the 5 bars. We'll take another look at it when we get back to Mulberry Gap to see how many bars I used total. But yeah, 2 out of 5 in that mode for P3, from Mulberry Gap up to the top of P3, and then back to the end of P3, and then we'll have a gravel ride back to Mulberry Gap. So that gives you an idea of, people ask me all the time, well, how long will the battery last? Well, it depends on the weight of the rider. It depends on the temperature of the day. I think it's probably about 75 degrees. Pretty high humidity. I don't know that makes a difference with a battery, but I would imagine heat does, and body weight. So it's going to be different for a 160 pound rider in 60 degree weather, or 250 pound rider in 100 degree weather. So take that in consideration. But yeah, definitely scoots right along. That's fun. The thing about the mountain biking for me is it needs to be fun. It needs to be fun for me to keep doing it. And I would definitely say that the full powered e-bike is more fun for me, even though the lighter weight e-bike is more playful, and it's more fun for a really short ride. Like if I just have 2 hours at Oak Mountain and I'm just going to try to keep my heart rate at a certain level and go as hard as I can on a trail that I know, yeah, take the lightweight bike. But if you're exploring a trail you haven't ridden for 2 years and there's quite a bit more climbing and you want to get to the top a lot faster because you're chasing daylight, full power e-bike's the only way around, the only way to go. And if you find that you're interested in maybe hitting a new optional steep line that is opened up that you've never seen before, and they opened it up since the last time you were here, the Bullit is a better way to go. But if you want a little bit more zippiness up the switchbacks and a little bit more playfulness on the trail, then go with the Vala for sure. If you want the lightweight one, then I would definitely recommend the Heckler SL. That bike's a lot of fun. Very playful. It's kind of like the old 5010 that Santa Cruz came out with back in the day with 27 wheels. That was a super playful bike, and the Heckler SL reminds me of that. Yeah, well, I hope this was helpful. We got more days of riding, so check out my next videos. And I wanted to give a shout out to my buddy Shane. He's been working on my videos and trying to make the editing better. I mainly do these videos just so that I can have memories of the trail scenery. I can always mute my voice and just check out the trails. So that's the main goal of my videos, but if maybe through the process it helps people in any way, then that's even better. And Shane has gotten so good at editing videos that there's Mulberry Gap there, and I'm going to be pulling in. He's gotten so good at editing videos that he's been doing it for me, and hopefully that makes things a little bit more bearable for you than if I edited them. All right, until next ride, I'll see ya. Very playful. It's kind of like the old 5010 that Santa Cruz came out with back in the day with 27 wheels. That was a super playful bike, and the Heckler SL reminds me of that. Yeah, well, I hope this was helpful. We got more days of riding, so check out my next videos. And I wanted to give a shout out to my buddy Shane. He's been working on my videos and trying to make the editing better. I mainly do these videos just so that I can have memories of the trail scenery. I can always mute my voice and just check out the trails. So that's the main goal of my videos, but if maybe through the process it helps people in any way, then that's even better. And Shane has gotten so good at editing videos that there's Mulberry Gap there, and I'm going to be pulling in. He's gotten so good at editing videos that he's been doing it for me, and hopefully that makes things a little bit more bearable for you than if I edited them. All right, until next ride, I'll see ya.